You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. So you say,
"Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?"
Brew 2 shots of espresso.
After Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you're ready for some beats.
"Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music."
You head to meet some friends, but can't remember the place.
"Hey, Meta, call Eva."
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, "Hey, Meta," to harness the power of Meta AI. Shop now at meta.com/smartglasses.
Hey, it is Ryan Seacrest. There's something so thrilling about playing Chumba Casino. Maybe it's the simple reminder that with a little luck, anything is possible. ChumbaCasino.com has hundreds of social casino-style games to choose from with new game releases each week. Play for free anytime, anywhere for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Take a deep dive into the stories making the news headlines across the world.
The news agents.
We're not just here to tell you what's happening, but why. From me, Emily Maitlis.
And me, John Sopel.
With Global's award-winning podcast, The News Agents, dropping daily, covering everything you need to know about politics and current affairs.
And The News Agents USA.
Listening to The News Agents on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search The News Agents to start listening.
All right, let's get to it on this Christmas Eve. Gaardsy in the 651 Carpets Plus studio. I'm in today. I'll be in Thursday and Friday. We're off the next couple of days. Brett Blakemore is here getting ready for a big one tonight for his Green Bay Packers against the New Orleans Saints. All of it until 6:10 here tonight. We've got the usual Monday regulars today. Cam Bynum's going to join us about 10 minutes from now. Meat Sauce Paul Lambert's going to join in studio about 3:30 for a Todd Tuesday on a Monday. Talking a lot of Vikings and maybe some Wolves with him. And as he counts down to Baby Lambert showing up, I think, scheduled for Thursday. So we'll see how he's feeling a few days before the life changer, as Paul Allen would say. Ben Lieber will make his weekly appearance at 4:47. And Johnny Athletic to, oh boy, talk Wolves at 5:30. All of that on the docket. I want some talkbacks today. I want some text today. The Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is 64686. Like I said, we've got Bynum about 8 minutes from now, so we'll fly through the first segment or two and get to our first Vikings talking point, brought to you by Federated Insurance. But we've been flyover country here as Minnesota Vikings fans. We've been waiting. We've been waiting for the world to finally respect this football team, and it's finally happening this Sunday. You may have heard, you may not have, that the game has officially been flexed. The Packer game has officially been flexed. We think Tom Brady will be here. One of the biggest games, frankly, in this rivalry's history will be happening this week. When you think about the stakes for the season with the #1 seed potentially on the line, wouldn't Brett Blakemore and Dave Sinekin love to jump on the mic on Monday morning after the Packers possibly knock the Vikings out of contention for that? Wouldn't you just love that? But there's big stakes, right?
I'll just say this, the Packer preview montage, if that were to happen, at least 5 minutes
It'd
long.
be delicious.
Oh, yeah.
It would be reverse delicious. And by the way, in my opinion, the stakes for the future of the quarterback position here for the foreseeable future are potentially on the line as well on Sunday. Before we do get to Bynum, it's the first Vikings talking point of the day. They are brought to you by Federated Insurance, and it is, as you might expect, all about the Darnold dilemma.
Meanwhile, 55 Draymond Jones pulled Darnold down in an awkward way, and his left ankle got trapped underneath number 55, Draymond Jones. All right, Sam's still in. 1st and 10 from the Seattle 39. 3:58 to go. Seattle leads by 4 in the fourth quarter. Sam steps up. Sam throws left. Caught. Jefferson. Touchdown. Yes! Sam, the man on the fan, finds the moneymaker, Justin Jefferson. And the Vikings have taken a 26-24 lead.
What a job by Sam Darnold to step up in the pocket, and what an adjustment by Justin Jefferson. He was going out to the flat. Reek Willen had him covered and then just turned that thing up the sidelines once he saw Darnold step up in the pocket. So this is making it up kind of as you go. But what a response by this Vikings offense, and what an unbelievable gutsy drive by Sam Darnold.
So many people have sent me the picture, including one of us Hollywood actor guy, Josh Broughton, of Sam Cassell's big balls dance with Sam Darnold's face on it. Is it too... We got a workshop. Can I call him Sam Marbles? That's kind of like Darnold. It kind of rhymes with him. Don't love it. Don't hate it. Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line 64686 me. But I think I wanted to sleep on it. I wanted to sleep on it. I didn't want to get caught up in the emotion of yesterday, of Sam Darnold doing it again. The Vikings offense basically non-existent for the entire second half. 3-and-outs all over the place. Seattle got their teeth into the game. Defense couldn't stop Geno Smith there for a minute until they could, which was important. We'll talk to Cam Bynum about that. But I wanted to sleep on it. I didn't want to get caught up in the emotion of winning in Seattle in comeback fashion, in that dramatic of fashion, with what an unbelievable play by Sam Darnold. He gets his face mask ripped off the play before. His ankle hurts. His sock is torn. The headsets are broken. He can't even get the play from KOC. He has to scramble. I mean, it's all mythic stuff that's happening with Darnold. It's raining there because it's always raining there. So I wanted to sleep on it. You have to keep Sam Darnold on this team. There is no more Darnold dilemma for me. It's an insane conversation. I can't believe we're actually having it. I can't believe we've had it for the last couple of weeks. But I'm all in on him. What else? Now, I'm not saying 10-year contract, Patrick Mahomes type deal. But in all honesty, what do you need to see? What else do you need to see from this guy? The offense, as I mentioned, was a mess for much of the game. Defense missed a bunch of chances to seal it. All of a sudden, you're down. You need a drive. That face mask penalty gave them the opening. And Darnold delivered. You go through his winning time numbers. Is that his fourth or fifth comeback victory this year? He's got 9 in his career. He now has as many victories as a Viking as he did as a Jet. And maybe in his entire career. I don't know. I mentioned his ankle. He climbs the pocket like someone racing to the top of a rock wall. And he finds JJ for the clincher. His last 6 games, 15 touchdowns, 1 pick. The pick was on a 4th down play that was as good as a punt because they weren't going to get it. He just winged the ball. It got intercepted. He's 8-1 in 1-score games. They're 8-0 since Darisaw went down. And we all know what the plan was. We all are smart enough to understand the plan. We all understand it. We all understand what Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and the Vikings front office were trying to do. Bridge quarterback, hand it off to JJ at some point. A lot of us thought it was already going to be JJ's team at this point anyway. That we think may have been the plan. But you got to remember the background of the general manager. I don't know if you know this. He's a commodities trader. Comes up from time to time when he's doing Vikings X's and O's with Paul Allen. His previous business. I'm not sure if people are aware of that. He used to be kind of a stock market guy. But my favorite trader, Pete Najarian, who might be listening right now because he always listens when he's in town, CNBC guy, formerly of CNBC. You see him on Fox Business. He's my favorite trader. That's what he does. Here's what he tells you. You can't trade the market you want. You trade the market you have. You can write that down if you want, Brett Blakemore. You can't trade the market you want. You can. You trade the market you have. And the market around your quarterback situation has changed. You did the financial forecast. You did the outlooks the last few years. You came up with a plan. You met with all your different clients and you said, here's what we think we should do for the next few years to put you in a good financial situation. You didn't forecast that the return on Sam Darnold's stock was going to be generational and exponential. You bought stock in a safe company. We're hoping for safe ETF type 401k returns. Just keep us afloat until we can get to the growth stock, JJ. And Sam Darnold has completely blown up the portfolio. My new minimum here, and I'm thinking this is where I'm going to settle. I just think it's too easy to franchise him. You don't have to blow up anything. You have the money to franchise him, pay him $41-ish million. That's what Alec Lewis told us it was a few weeks ago. You've got 70-some million in the cap. You give him the 40, you've still got 30. That puts you in the bottom third of free agent money available. So you can actually do some other things and sign some other guys. And your backup quarterback, J.J. McCarthy's making $4 million. The J.J. deal doesn't jump into like 26 until to big money until 26. You've got Van Ginkel signed. You've got Cashman signed. You've got Grenard signed. You obviously have some decisions to make in the secondary, including our guest here in a couple of minutes, Cam Bynum. But you have the money to do it, and you have the flexibility to do it, and you have the trigger to do it with the franchise tag. I know people, that doesn't get used very often. I think the Vikings have used the franchise tag 5 times. The player has only played under that tag 3 times. I'm thinking Jim Kleinsasser. I'm thinking Anthony Harris, and I'm thinking Chad Greenway. It's something that doesn't happen very often, and maybe you are alienating Sam Darnold, but I think with the constant dialogue that KOC loves to pride himself on, I think you can massage this one pretty easily. Say, Sam, we want to keep you around. We can't let you walk out of this building. We can't let you go to market because there are probably 6 or 7 teams that do need a quarterback. There's not a bunch of them in this draft. That's something we'll talk to Sauce about because I'm sure he's already broken down the first 3, if not 4 or 5 rounds of the 2025 draft. So there's not going to be, like there was this year, a ton of first-round quarterbacks that teams are just going to hand the keys over to. Darnold is going to be, to use a Kwesi term, again, a hot commodity here coming up. And so you can't let it get to that spot. You can't say, go out and see what the market is, and we'll consider something. I think you have to franchise him at this point. I think you have to keep him at this point. Posted a 112 passer rating again. That's his 12th such game this season. Has the most. It's an NFL record for most games with a 100 passer rating in a player's first season with a team since 1950. Getting all these stats from Vikings public relations after the game yesterday. But you just have to listen to some of the cues as well. When you hear how Darnold is talking and you hear how KOC is talking, Darnold said again for a second time yesterday that there's nowhere else he would rather play. There's nowhere else he would rather do this. Kevin O'Connell yesterday talking about how the offense has come along, calling it Sam's offense. I know that Seifert noticed that, did the double eye emoji. Like, that's interesting. But to me, it's just such a no-brainer at this point. You don't have to abandon the J.J. McCarthy plan. You have a lever. Will it hurt Sam Darnold's feelings to get the franchise tag? Maybe. But I think that's something you can easily massage if your communication and your dialogue is as strong as you say it is, and that's one of KOC's strength to say, look, man, you knew about the plan. We had the plan. We were going to hand it off to JJ. Sam's still doing a bunch of things to help JJ for next year, including wearing some type of virtual reality helmet that allows JJ to see what Sam's seeing in practice. But we think it's good for everybody if you stick around. We can't give you a 5-year contract at $250 million, which is what some people think he might get. I mean, they were saying today, Schefter was on McAfee today talking about $40, $50 million a year because that's starting quarterback money. And bad starting quarterbacks have gotten those contracts that have done, believe it or not, less than Sam Darnold, even though he's only done this for a year. But I just think it's so clear that you can't let him walk out the door. And it doesn't matter to me if he gets to the postseason and doesn't play well. Like, what's not play well? Like 5 picks? I don't know. But it's a one-game sample, Brett Blakemore. You can come up to the microphone. You don't have to sit back there like Halvey. That's a 1-game sample or 2-game sample, whatever it is, that I'm not going to let just eliminate a complete body of work. And if you franchise him, you keep him for a year, and guess what? If he's bad next year, then he's on, and then he's off. He's off your books. You have J.J. McCarthy, and you start the J.J. McCarthy plan. Your thoughts?
I just think I don't think you're wrong at all. The only thing I disagreed with in your whole dissertation there is that the playoff performance being bad you can just write it off.
Well, I'm not saying you can write it off, but I'm not going to say, well, I got to see how he does in the playoffs. Before I do anything, because to me, you're eliminating a 16-game, 17-game sample size where this is who he's been. It's his first time in that situation. I just think, to me, it wouldn't be an automatic disqualifier. You obviously throw it in the hopper. You put it in the hopper. But it's not an automatic disqualifier like, I'm going to ignore the first 17 games here and what he's done specifically in the fourth quarter and specifically what he's done in game-winning drive situations. I'm just going to ignore all of that because he didn't play well against Tampa in Tampa, for example, or he didn't play well at home if the Vikings are fortunate enough to get the number 1 seed. Bradshaw and Brian, KFAN text line 64686. I want talkbacks on this throughout the day, by the way. The Darnold dilemma. Has he done enough to say we've got to find a way to keep him for at least another year? You don't have to blow up the plan. You don't have to, completely, take a match to what you had for years 3, 4, and 5 down the road. But I want to know what people think about that. We now go to our Monday regular. He is Cam Bynum. You may have heard of him. You may have seen him on social media in the last 24 hours. He's on the Connecticut Water Systems hotline making his weekly appearance. Cam, congratulations on another win. Thanks for the time as always.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
So, Camp Rock, let's start there. We got a lot to get to with Camp Rock. Take us through it. Who is the motivation for this? I know you're getting solicitations from all over the world on what you should do for your next end zone celebration. Where did this one come from?
This one came from myself and my little sister. It's one of the movies that we watched as kids, and my little sister sent it to me a while ago, and I always talked about it with her, and we always said, okay, this one will be later down the line. We have to get a few more celebrations under our belt, and this one will be waiting in line. And this one is going to be a fun one because we can get a lot more people involved. And it's not too difficult, but it was one of those deep cuts that once you see it, everybody knows it, and it was a part of everybody's childhood. So, yeah, that one was from my sister and I a while ago, but we knew that this was going to be a later season celebration.
Is this the same sister that gave you one previously? Because she's feeling like the real MVP in this whole situation.
Yeah, that's really her homework assignment. She gets a shout out on the radio, and she helps me with the celebration. So me and her have a big list going of a bunch of ideas, and we just rank them all. Like, okay, is this one better than the last? Will this one up the last one? So we have a lot of ideas that we collect together, but not every single one is up to par with the one that we've started. So a lot of getting knocked off just because we're like, we need to keep one-upping every single celebration.
You mentioned it can get a lot more people involved. There were a lot involved here. Take us through the process of who gets invited. Is there a tryout situation? Do people have to, raise their hand and say, I want in? Obviously, they have to be defensive players. They have to be on the field when this stuff happens. So, and I'm sure you want to be as inclusive as possible. So what's the tryout process like to make sure that everybody's ready for, like you say, the one that you want to trump all?
Really, it's you kind of know who the fun guys are and who the people that know about, because we're doing all like the kid, like kind of like the childish things with the Disney Channel, the Parent Trap, or the White Chicks, or even now with the Camp Rock. It has to be people that are like kind of hip to knowing what the celebrations are. So it's really, we kind of talk about it in there. First and foremost, I always go to Josh Metellus.
Yep.
He's like the first person I bring all the Disney Channel ones to, because I know that no matter what, me and him will be on the field at the same time, and he's just as enthusiastic about the celebrations as I am. So when I have an idea, I go straight to Josh, and I know, okay, Josh is one person that's guaranteed, and then everybody else is like, okay, yeah, let me get in on this. So I was like, all right, well then we got to actually practice it, because if you don't master it in these rehearsals, then we can't do it in the game. So we were able to get a lot of people involved, some DBs, and even got Harrison Phillips in there.
That's the one.
That was a fan favorite, getting a defensive lineman in there doing a DB celebration with us. And he found his way to the middle of the line, which is the funniest part. So he stole the show, but I'm glad that he did, because he for a big guy to be able to get it down like that and actually have rhythm, that was impressive.
That's the one. You're exactly right, Cam. That's the one that jumped out at everybody. Said, Harrison Phillips is in there. What's he doing? How was his rehearsal? Were you worried about anybody as rehearsal was going on? Like, do you have to have some tough conversations and saying, look, you got to get this right by Sunday or you're just not going to be in the show?
I think people know. They know if they don't feel right with it, they're not going to get in our video, because they know how serious we take it. So Harrison Phillips, he didn't make it into the rehearsal video because he came a little late, but all week we were talking about it in practice and kind of walking through it, just like a walkthrough during practice, during the week. And even before the game in the locker room, we went over the steps one last time, and he's like, I'm going to be in there with you guys. I need to start joining these. And so I was never worried about HP being able to do it, because he really took it serious. But like I said, whenever we have something, if somebody knows that they're not up to par with everybody else with the dance, they know, okay, yeah, let me step back, because I don't want to mess up their video, because we take this stuff way too serious.
The standard is the standard. Yeah, I agree. We're talking with Cam Bynum, Gaardsy in for Barreiro today. Cam's weekly appearance here on the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. How fulfilling is it? Obviously, word got back to Lindsay Lohan after the Parent Trap, and I know you noticed that the Jonas Brothers saw that Camp Rock, which they were in, obviously. How fulfilling is that it's making it to the actors and actresses that have motivated or that have inspired this entire phenomenon?
It's just so cool that all the people that we look up to as kids are seeing the stuff we're doing now. And I think our generation of people, like, that was our childhood movie, and those are our childhood stars, people that we looked up to on Disney Channel as kids. I just think it's cool that we're able to really bring their coolest moments back and make them popular again. But also just really seeing, especially with this one, like the co-stars in the movie, all commenting and reposting it and everything, like the people that aren't the Demi Lovato and the Jonas Brothers, but seeing like the co-stars of it that are also childhood legends that were in a bunch of other movies, seeing them comment on it was super cool too, because it's like a lot of people may have forgotten, but these people had big roles in all the movies that we watched growing up.
All right, that was 5 minutes on the celebration. I think that was a good sample, but it's earned. I mean, it's all deserved. It's all earned, and it's obviously not going to stop as you guys you and your sister continue to raise the bar on these things. Let's talk about the game. An unbelievable victory again, a thrilling victory again. And I want to talk about just the differences early with not getting to Geno Smith, and then later the pressure finally coming, right? Van Ginkel getting in there a couple times, the turnovers finally starting to come. The whole talk about in Seattle was the pressure that Geno was under a week ago against Green Bay. It took a minute to get you guys there, but once you got there, it was pretty good stuff. So what was the difference, do you think, as you guys settled into that game to where you're able to start really putting some heat on him in the second half?
It was really just focusing back on our fundamentals and slowing the game down for us. Especially a lot of the second half, they did a lot of hurry up because they saw some things that may have given them success by going fast against us. So when we were able to really get a good stop on first down and forcing them into these passing situations where they need a little more yards, forcing them into a longer third downs, that opened up the pass rush for us to be able to get back there and force them into like passing situations where it's not just all quick game. And really the second half, we just really had to lock in on just the assignments. We really didn't change much at halftime and going into the second half of the game. We just had to really just lock in on all of our assignments and know that we have to get pressure, and that'll force some turnovers like it did.
How different is it without Harrison Smith out there? We always see him and pop up on the injury report during the week sometimes as he's off Wednesday. Well, he's a veteran. He can kind of decide, right? Pick and choose. This one felt a little bit different as the week went on, and obviously it sounded like it was pretty close to a game-time decision for Hitman to go back out there. So obviously the guys that replaced him made some plays, including the one that sealed it. But as a guy who basically plays next to him and around him all the time, how different is it without him back there?
Yeah, just playing next to Harry just makes the game easier for everybody on the whole defense, just the experience that he has and just the leadership and the presence that he has on the field. It's different just being able to play next to him and just see that over the years and just being comfortable playing next to him and just the communication that he's able to give and really just the wisdom being out there. If he sees something, sometimes he can make an executive decision to check a call or to just make sure that we're in the right spots. But really, the way we have so much depth in our room, there's really not a step back as far as the playing, like you saw with Bobby going in there and Theo getting the game-winning interception. We know there's never a worry going into a game when we're missing anybody because we know the way we practice and the way we prepare to the point where everybody feels comfortable to be a starter and to make plays as a starter if their opportunity comes. And for Bobby and Theo, they're able to go in the game and play well and have a good showing in Harry's absence.
Dallas Turner gets his first pick, big play in the game, obviously. And on the TV broadcast, they talked about Brian Flores telling them in their production meeting that he basically has said to Dallas, it's time now. It's time for you to take the step. It's time for you to get going. You're going to get more opportunities. You're going to get out there. And obviously he's responded here the last few weeks. I know Dan and you talked about him last week, as a matter of fact. But what have you seen from him, obviously since he got here, but maybe in the last couple of weeks as his opportunities have come up and he's been able to put himself in these pretty good spots?
I've just seen Coach Flo really challenge him and tell him, like, this is the time that you need to take your step if you want to just become the player that you are and not think about potential, but you have to really feel that and not just think, okay, he has so much potential. Coach Flo really challenged him in the defensive film room that we want you to get going, and this is your time of the season to start. We see flashes of everything, but this is when you can take over. And just the type of player that Dallas is, he took everything and every challenge as a positive thing, and he's really in the film study and just everything that he's doing, he's taking it serious and being really mature about it, and also putting himself in tough positions in practice, making himself uncomfortable in practice, and you see it paying off in the games, fixing mistakes and anything that happens in practice, he's eager to learn and really going out there and fixing it and making plays in the game. And we've seen that a few weeks in a row now with his insane sack he had last week and his interception now this week. He's showing that he can do it all.
He gets the pick. You mentioned Jackson gets the pick. You guys had a couple of drops for interceptions, and maybe outside of the celebration, or I should say the dancing, your guys' reaction when you don't get an interception to me is almost as funny, Cam. I know it's not as funny on the field. I'm sure it's funnier in a win. But your hands always go right to your head. I'm thinking about the Shaq Griffin one. That would have been a tough play. Metellus, went down like a sniper got him on the Blake Cashman dropped interception. So how rough is it for those guys in the locker room, specifically Cashman after? In a win, obviously, it's a lot better. If you lose, I'm sure they're feeling horrible. They're bummed because the Cashman one, that's one that I'm sure he couldn't believe he didn't catch. So the reactions on the field, how hard is it to not react like that, to come back and get ready to defend another play, but also what kind of heat those guys get after from you guys, especially in a victory?
That's funny because we were talking about that last night as soon as we got on the plane after the game. We're like, the most depressing thing is watching the film of you dropping a pick. And all of us, I drop picks. Every single person drops interceptions, which is unfortunate. But we're laughing because we said the most depressing thing ever is to look at the film of your drop, but then look at everybody else's reactions around it. And people just, the sideline, you see clipboards flying, coaches putting their hands on their heads, and just everybody falling out, be dramatic. Just because that's the standard that we set, that any opportunity, we have to catch the balls that are thrown anywhere near us. And that can change games. And it's the standard that we set. And it's also just sad when we have the turnover meetings on Thursday when we're just looking at opportunities that we had in games, how we can capitalize on more turnovers and planning for the next opponent. That happens on Thursday, so it's funny. As soon as you're healing from your dropped interception, come Thursday, you're reminded right back on the film. So it's always a bad feeling dropping an interception. But like I said, the standard is the standard, and knowing that we pride ourselves on making those plays, and we're supposed to make those plays, and that's why we feel the way we do about missed opportunities.
Yeah, I worried about Metellus when he dropped on the Cashman one. I didn't think Metellus was getting up. I mean, he hit the ground hard. A couple of viral videos, obviously, your celebrations, and then when you win, it's the Kevin O'Connell post-game locker room, which have become something that all Vikings fans wait for. Right up there with Dan Campbell and the Lions. I love that coaches are cool with that stuff getting out. I assume you guys are as well. But the reaction that Darnold got yesterday, your quarterback, from the team when he got the game ball, KOC talked about it, he might get emotional here in the final minute. What goes in, the reaction was awesome. It was great. And you can tell that he's really endeared himself to this locker room, and you guys love playing for him. You called him the best in the league in one of your interviews yesterday. What goes into that reaction when Darnold gets the game ball from KOC?
It's just fulfilling for everybody to see and just to know his journey. And knowing that, all the outside noise that came into it, he's not paying attention to any of that. But us teammates, we've seen that, especially not being on his team in the past years, just seeing the noise and hearing the noise from that. And him being our teammate now and him just coming in and seeing the way he works, seeing his leadership and the way he practices and really just everything, the person he is, seeing that just come to fruition on the weekends, and when the game comes and he's out there doing what he needs to do and doing more than what he needs to do, with game-winning drives, go-ahead touchdowns, and just everything, just the clean games that he's been able to put together consistently, and it not just be flashes, it's just consistent over the whole season, and really him proving that that's who he is. It's not a fluke. There's no surprise to it. He's just now showing people that that's who he is, and there's no question about it anymore. And it's just so fulfilling being his teammate, and really speaking for everybody, just seeing his journey and how big of a deal that is for him to just continue to be him no matter what anybody has said in the past. And that's really just so cool hearing KO talk about it, but also hearing the cheers that he gets from the teammates and even the fan base now that we're fans at the end of the day because we love seeing him go to work.
Do you have any memory of your reaction when you signed him? Obviously, Kirk is heading to Atlanta at the time. You're drafting a quarterback. I don't think you knew at that time who it was going to be. But do you remember any reaction from you or the team of, okay, Sam Darnold's coming here, on what that might have meant?
For me personally, I always knew he was a really good quarterback going against him in college. And so I've kind of seen and see the Southern California kid, so I've been watching him since high school. So he's always been somebody that I've known is super talented and a really good arm, really good quarterback. So this whole time, there's really never a question in my mind. And obviously the media and everything painted a certain picture. But at the end of the day, when he got here, everybody was excited to have him, just to get to know him as a person, but also seeing the way he came in and worked immediately. And I feel like everybody was happy with the decision to sign him. And regardless of what ended up coming out of the training camp, we're going to be happy about it. But he showed why he is the player that he is right now.
Last two for Cam Bynum making his weekly Vikings appearance here on the Bumper to Bumper Show. Gaardsy in for Dan. What was your vantage point on the game-winning touchdown of Sam climbing the pocket and then obviously throwing to JJ, who makes, no surprise, an incredible play?
Yeah, defense is sitting on the bench. We're getting coached up, and we look up at the screen. We see Sam scrambling a little. We see him start climbing. We've seen it in practice and training camp. When he's running forward, we know he's about to launch it. That was like the first thing. We all stood up we started looking up and getting excited when we saw him climbing in the pocket. We're like, oh, he's about to throw it. And of course it goes to JJ, and of course JJ catches it for a touchdown, and it almost feels routine and regular at this point, but no matter what, we never get tired of those situations when they go down there and just ball out.
Lastly, it's the Packers this week. Everybody knows it. 325, game's been flexed. Number one Fox crew, huge ramifications on all sides. This game's obviously always big, but there's so much at stake, especially for you guys. I don't have to tell you that. So how do you keep the main thing this week? And what's important against this edition of the Green Bay Packers, who you obviously saw earlier in the season?
Yeah, I'd say just sticking to the exact same process that we've been on that's been working. Obviously continue to put more and more work, more film study in. But with all the outside noise, knowing what's at stake and knowing what we can gain out of a win and what we can lose out of a loss, don't focus on any of that. Keep our routine exactly what it's been that's been giving us success, but add more to it. Figure out what you can do more as a player, what you can do more as a coach. And that's really the mindset through the whole locker room right now, is that nothing else matters besides this game right here. All the outside noise about it being a big-time game. Yeah, you take that and you get more energy out of that and more excitement because it's a big game, a big stage to play on. But we still have to go out there and do the job and do it well. So, and just to draw back off last time's win, we had a fast start, let them come back in the second half. Can't do that this time, and we know that they're a better team now, and so are we. So it's going to be competitive. It'll be a fun one. But we're looking to go out there and get number 16 or win that 16th game.
Say hi to the Jonas Brothers. Have a great week and good luck against the Packers, Cam. Thank you. We'll talk to you Monday.
Yep, I will. Thank you.
Cam Bynum on the Connecticut Water Systems hotline with his thoughts on an.
You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Classic style, innovative tech. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee, desperately. So you say,
Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?
To make a latte, brew 2 shots of espresso.
after Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you start walking to work, and you need a soundtrack.
Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music.
With the built-in camera, you snap a pic of a dope mural on the side of a building that you think is worth sharing.
Hey, Meta, text my last photo to Eva.
Sending message.
After work, you head to meet some friends.
Hey, nice glasses.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, hey, Meta, to harness the power of Meta AI. Listen to music, make hands-free calls with open-ear audio and built-in microphones, and so much more. All while staying present to the world around you. Shop Ray-Ban Meta glasses at meta.com/smartglasses.
Join Corey Cove tonight at Cowboy Jackson Bloomington from 7 to 9 for Coors Light Hockey Night. Watch Minnesota play Chicago, play trivia for your chance to win a pair of sweet tickets to the hockey game January 9th. Full details now, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
All right, here we go. It's a Todd Tuesday on a Monday. Meet Sauce Paul Lambert in studio. Brett Blakemore here as well. We've got Ben Lieber coming up at 4:45, as well as Johnny Athletic at 5:30. Out at 6:10, the Wolves are in Atlanta to take on the Hawks. Oh, goody. Can't wait to watch another Wolves game tonight. It's over for the Wolves, Sauce.
It's over?
It's not good right now.
And I don't know how to explain it without... Tim Conley has done has been great. He's given us an opportunity. He's made moves that no GM in this town has ever really made. He's gone out like we're a large market team and attacked. This was one too many levers he pulled. Karl Anthony Towns is a generational talent, and they moved him for a guy that can no longer shoot and a guy that doesn't really want to play half the side of the court. I mean, this is a move where I would bet in a month or two when that trade deadline comes up, they're gonna have to move Julius Randle. They're gonna have to. He's an expiring contract. They're gonna have to because they're not gonna find another superstar like Karl Anthony Towns to sign here.
And I was going to spend more time on this later after you leave, but we went into it now. We'll talk Vikings, obviously, as you're hanging out for a little while here before you go home and get ready for Christmas and get ready to be a dad. I believe in Tim Conley pretty much 100%. He knew when he made the Randle move, there was going to be a Randle move.
Yeah.
I'm just convinced of it.
I think you're right. That's a great point.
I'm convinced of it because I can't think, first of all, Chris Finch coached Julius Randle. He knows Julius Randle. He talked about how much he loves Julius Randle.
Yeah, in the press conference.
But he's also been around Julius Randle, so he knows what he is. Like, no one is going to be surprised what Julius Randle, and he seems like a great dude. He's about to be a dad for a third time. They're having a girl this time. Seems like, people like him. They want him to succeed. I think the fans have hung with him pretty well. Like, even the other night, they rewarded some of his good defensive effort, but he just doesn't have it in him. He doesn't have it in him defensively, and I guess, what's the word for it? Awareness-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to talk about, what Steph Curry did the other night, that, Steph's a killer. Steph's unbelievable. He's a closer. If you watch that game again, and I did, to be sure.
Why?
The last 4 minutes. Or the last 5 minutes. He could have been in an empty gym. That's how open he was, Steph Curry. Yeah. The Warriors said, where's Randle?
Yeah.
We're going to get him in the action.
Yeah.
And Steph Curry's going to make like 4 threes, which is what he did. One of them was kind of contested. The other two,
he beats Austin.
Randle, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm supposed to be over there.
Sorry.
Top of the key, wide open 3.
I'm trying.
So I believe that they always knew, because they didn't want to trade Karl. The second apron stuff is real. Yeah. And it's not about the finances. It's about the moves that you can or cannot make.
Yeah, it handcuffs you.
To supplement your team. And they wanted and this is what I was going to talk about. They wanted to extend the window with Ant as long as they possibly could and give them like a bunch of different years where Ant was going to be a contender. And you couldn't do that eventually with all these contracts that you had signed and wanted to sign, like a Nas, like a Nah. Obviously, they've given Jaden a big extension as well. That doesn't look great. We're going to spend some time talking about that.
Nope.
But the problem with how they did it is they were betting on Randle not being as bad of a fit in the short term because it's been a bad fit. And they've essentially eliminated, they have taken a year from this window where they are not contenders.
You are correct.
They're not contenders this year. They're just not. It sucks to say it coming off the Western Conference Finals. And the reason why I'm convinced that they knew Julius Randle was going to be a bad fit long term is because they didn't do the deal until Dante DiVincenzo was in it. They knew that it wasn't going to work straight up. And so there has to be another move somewhere. The painful part is waiting for that and trying to figure out what it is. And everybody else in the league also knows that. So is it just as simple as moving off of Julius's salary so that you can sign Nas to a bigger deal in a year? Maybe. Same thing with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But in trying to elongate the Anthony Edwards championship window sauce, they have literally killed one of the years coming off the Western Conference Final. And that sucks.
I mean, when you look around the league, and I know you are a huge NBA fan, and so am I. When you look around the league, I mean, he's making $33 million this year as his cap hit, right?
Yeah.
DeJounte Murray makes $29 million for what are they, 5 and 25 Pelicans?
Yeah.
Is that the move? We always heard when they made the move, and something that we saw during the Olympics was how much Ant loved playing basketball with Kevin Durant.
Yep.
They're the same record we are.
Right.
Is it that move? Would they swap superstars? But I just think at some point, the only way you can move a Julius Randle is the same way the Knicks moved him and with another piece that they want. We'll take Julius, but we want X. And I think that's what they're going to run into. Because I don't know what a DeJounte Murray would do, but he's on a 5-25 team, so he's obviously not killing it down there. Right. I don't know. I don't watch.
Well, and he was
Pelicans basketball.
He got traded from the Spurs to the Hawks, and then now to the Pelicans. So it's like
he was the original guy they were going to trade for before they traded for Rudy.
Mm-hmm.
But is that it? Do you trade for the guy that's in town? Do you trade for what's the really good guy for Atlanta? Trae
Young?
Do you trade for Trae Young, right?
I don't know.
Right. So we can't go from superstar, we can't go from like Ferrari to Mercedes. We can't keep going back down. We got to find another superstar, but you're going to have to package a bunch of things to move Julius Randle off of your bid, even though he's in like the last. He's got a player option next year, so they can get him out and move him, and I think somebody would take him. But he's due $30 million next year. That's the cap hit, so it's a lot. But it was one too many moves, and I don't know what they were motivated to get Cap. But it's exactly like you said. They want to find another superstar that can play well with Ant. It ain't Julius. And Dante DiVincenzo has forgotten how to shoot.
Yeah, that's the tough part. And we'll pause here and we'll pick up a little bit more with Wolves talk, but we're obviously going to talk a lot of Vikings today as they're now 13-2. Huge game against the Packers. We always go long on Mondays with Cam Bynum in the first segment. So we'll pause here, pick it up with Sauce. It's a Todd Tuesday on a Monday. Gaardsy in for Brett.
You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Classic style, innovative tech. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. Desperately. So you say,
Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?
To make a latte, brew 2 shots of espresso.
After Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you start walking to work, and you need a soundtrack.
Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music.
With the built-in camera, you snap a pic of a dope mural on the side of a building that you think is worth sharing.
Hey, Meta, text my last photo to Eva.
Sending message.
After work, you head to meet some friends.
Hey, nice glasses.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, hey, Meta, to harness the power of Meta AI. Listen to music, make hands-free calls with open-ear audio and built-in microphones, and so much more. All while staying present to the world around you. Shop Ray-Ban Meta glasses at meta.com/smartglasses.
Tune in 9 to noon every Tuesday as PA broadcasts live from TCO to talk all things purple. TCO Tuesdays are powered by Sukup Manufacturing.
I'm sure you've thought long and hard about this. Meat Sauce Paul Lambert. Todd Tuesday and Monday. Gaardsy in for Barreiro. Ben Lieber about an hour from now. What's the play with Sam Darnold? Have you seen enough? What do the Vikings need to do? He's playing at almost an MVP-like level, certainly the last 6 games or so. What do you think needs to happen, should happen, will happen in the quarterback room for 2025?
Well, let me go through this list. You ready for this list?
I am, yeah. You prepared. I like this.
Christian Ponder,
yeah.
Rich Gannon, Gus Frerotte, Case Keenum, your favorite, Wade Wilson, Sam Bradford,
R.I.P. Wade,
Warren Moon, Matt Castle, Archie Manning, the dad, Sean Hill, let's see, Brad Johnson, Tommy Kramer, Favre, Culpepper, McMahon. I mean, that's just in the last 25 years. Josh Freeman, Jay Fiedler, Steve Bono, Sage Rosenfels. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is we have, for so long as Vikings fans, we had 4 good years of Culpepper, he tore his knee. We had 1 good year of Favre. He
couldn't stay off his phone.
Couldn't stay up right. We had 1 good year of Randall Cunningham. We had McMahon. We had Jeff George, Donovan McNabb. My point is like we've been the reason they signed Kirk Cousins to the contract they did is this franchise has been chasing a franchise quarterback for so long.
Our entire life.
Yes. Yeah, since, 98. The 90s, they had Wade Wilson.
Rich Gannon. Sean Salisbury,
Tavares
weekly guest.
Jackson, Joe Webb.
Yep.
Spurgeon Wynn. Spurgeon Wynn, who played in Joe Webb played in a playoff game.
He did, because Ponder wasn't available. Think about how sad that is.
Right.
We were bummed Ponder was out.
Correct.
Against the Packers.
We lost. But the point is like we have been pining for a franchise quarterback for the longest time. Sam Darnold yesterday in a must-have it drive to keep the winning streak going, to keep the number one seed bid alive, banged up, gets hit on every play on that drive except for the one where he ran out of bounds. He gets pulled down by his face mask. Thank God they called it.
Yeah.
If that's Jordan Love, the guy's thrown out of the game. He marches, he gets crushed on that dime off his feet to Justin Jefferson. And we all of a sudden are like, thank you.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Thank you.
What you do is you don't. I know that the comeback of all the people that want to keep him is you can't pay him $40 million. You don't pay him $40 million, right? I think there's got to be I don't know what he would want. I mean, maybe 30, but the weird give and take with this is if you sign into more than 2 years, you call the Raiders and you say, hey, you want J.J. McCarthy for the 5th overall pick? He would be in this draft the number 1 overall pick, right? J.J. McCarthy would be the number 1 overall pick.
Okay.
And if let's say the Raiders go, sure, we screwed up by not taking a quarterback last year, but we got the best new weapon in football in Brock Bowers. We'll take J.J. McCarthy and we'll give you the 5th overall pick. You could fill a spot with that. I just think if you're going to keep Sam, you have to move on from McCarthy, right?
Well, if you're going to keep him long term, if you're going to sign him long term,
it's a 2 or 3 year deal, I think you got to move on.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm not even thinking that. I think you just franchise him.
You have to keep him.
I just think you say, we're going to try it for another year. And if he's good like this again, then you make that move with JJ and say,
That's
it's been
a good
great.
Point. Yeah.
Like that. Because I don't know if I'm ready to just invest in him off of one season. I'm willing to pay $41 million or whatever it is to say, let's see if we can do it again. And we don't know how healthy JJ is going to be a year ago. He's had, or a year from now, he's had the second procedure, whatever that is, to clean some stuff up. But I just don't. I remember because how long have I worked here? 21 years. My God,
yes,
Simmons is old.
2 years longer than I have.
So well, and you count the time you were laid off and came back. Does that count in your tenure?
I think so. Yeah.
And when we saw each other in Wrigleyville, but so I'm always filling in around this time, right? Because Dan's out or PA was out back in the day. And there's a guy that would always text me that would say, oh, Gaardsy's in, which means he's going to list off all the quarterbacks that the Vikings have had in his lifetime. And you just did that. Yeah. I haven't done it in a while, but that's real life.
That's real life.
That's why
Sean Hill.
That's why I was president of Cousins Condos, because for years we've been waiting for some sort of stability for a guy that was going to put up big numbers. So I agree with you. You find a guy that has had, speaking of Rich Gannon, he said with Dan within the last month or so, that John Gruden was his KOC, that he was here with Denny, wasn't getting an opportunity.
Oh, that's a great point.
And he
didn't
said,
think of that.
John Gruden, when he got the Raider job, called me and said, you're my guy. I believe in you. We can do some special things. He went to the Super Bowl the year after Gruden left when Tampa beat the Raiders, but he was NFL MVP for the Raiders and took him to a Super Bowl. But he said, probably around the same age. And he said, Gruden was my guy. He believed in me and he gave me a whole new lease on life. It took me a while to find some footing. And the next thing I know, I'm NFL MVP. Now, am I putting Darnold on that track? I'm not. But what I'm saying is, he's 27 years old. He's playing at an unbelievable level. There's no reason to think that he can't continue it, that he's all of a sudden going to go back to New York Jets Sam Darnold or Carolina Panthers Sam Darnold. I think it's worth exploring further. If they decide, no, we are blowing the whole thing up, and we're giving him a 5-year, $250 million contract, because there's 7 teams that are going to need quarterbacks, and there's only a couple in the draft from what I'm hearing. So I'm fine. I don't know if I'm willing to go full 5-year contract or whatever it is, but I'm definitely willing to say we're going to use the franchise tag, which we don't love to do and we don't use it, and see if we can run this back another year. And if it is approaching what it is this year, Sauce, then I do think you have to have more serious conversations about what you do long term.
Because here are the teams that'll possibly need a quarterback: the Giants, the Raiders, Tennessee, Cleveland, maybe. Who knows what they do? The Jets, the Saints, the Niners.
Yeah.
I mean, PA brought up a great point this morning when I was listening to him.
It's a good wild card team.
I mean, I like to hammer on Brock Purdy because, he's fine, but he plays on an all-star team. By the way, they were eliminated yesterday. But that's my point, is they may say, thanks for the help, but we had Sam Darnold. It's a similar system because it's all that McVay bit, right?
Yep.
And maybe they go out. I mean, let's see here. The Colts, no. The Seahawks, maybe. Tampa, no. Atlanta, no. Denver, no. Chargers, no. Houston, no. The playoff teams don't need one. But you know what I mean? Like, there's 7 or 8 teams, and this isn't like last year where there are 6 quarterbacks are taken in the top 13, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you don't know. But, like, I'm not ready to, like, you and I are the same age. We grew up in the same era. 20 years ago, we'd kill for a Sam Darnold, right?
Yeah.
Now we're just going to give up? I don't get it. I don't get why, like, I know the money, and they have the $68 million in salary cap, but, like, the franchise quarterback fixes a lot of those issues, right?
It does. It does. Hit the text line, 64686, Bradshaw and Bryan text line. What do we do with Darnold? It is a Darnold dilemma, and I think it's becoming a dilemma more. Well, actually, I think it's becoming crystallized on what they should do more and more every single week. You can also hit the talkback radio icon on the iHeartRadio app. We might play some of those as we roll along. Sauce is sticking around for a couple of more segments. We've got Ben Lieber for his weekly Monday bit at 4:47, and Johnny Krasinski at 5:30. Gaardsy in for Barreiro. More with Sauce after.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. So you say,
Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?
Brew 2 shots of espresso.
after Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you're ready for some beats.
Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music.
You head to meet some friends, but can't remember the place.
Hey, Meta, call Eva.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, hey, Meta, to harness the power of Meta AI. Shop now at meta.com/smartglasses.
Take a deep dive into the stories making the news headlines across the world.
The news agents.
We're not just here to tell you what's happening, but why. From me, Emily Maitlis.
And me, John Sopel.
With Global's award-winning podcast, The News Agents, dropping daily, covering everything you need to know about politics and current affairs.
And The News Agents USA.
Listening to The News Agents on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search The News Agents to start listening.